Hi there, Jeff here from the Wetsuit Centre, talking to you today about the all-new Rip Curl Ebomb Pro for summer 2013 into... Hi there, Jeff here from the Wetsuit Centre, talking to you today about the Ebomb Pro for summer 2013. So the Ebomb's been around for a long time now. Really popular wetsuit for people that like a lot of flexibility and performance, especially in a summer wetsuit. I say summer, basically this might be a winter suit for people that are in slightly warmer climates, but basically it's a 3-2, so a steamer, 3mm of neoprene on the lower body, where you need a bit more thickness, a bit more warmth to keep your core warm, and then you've got 2mm of neoprene where you need a bit more flexibility and stretch in the wetsuit. So as I've said before, the Ebomb's always been a performance wetsuit. So what I mean when I say performance is basically maximum amount of flexibility and movement in the suit. So although they're still really warm suits because the quality of neoprene is really good, and as long as you get the fit right, they're definitely going to keep you warm. Some things are dropped out of the suit which sort of weigh it down. So things like thermal lining, liquid taping, and that kind of stuff. Which is seen to be basically a little bit more restrictive to movement and that kind of thing. So the suit is all about sort of movement and flexibility, and as such you can see that it doesn't have a smooth skinned panel on the front, and it hasn't for, it basically never has, and that's just to minimise the amount of seams required in the suit, and again maximise movement and flexibility and comfort. Okay, so these are the sort of, people might be watching this might be pretty familiar with the Ebomb suit, so might be wondering what's different with this suit with last year's. Not a huge amount, but there are a few things which I'll run through with you in a second. But the first thing to mention is just the sort of styling of the wetsuits this year. You've got a few different colours. This is a Wilco colour. It's pretty nice. You've got kind of like the marble on the top, like a denim-y kind of look going on. A little splash of it further down and around the back as well. I like the logoing. I like the sort of pickup of the blue on the logoing. And then we've got the more sort of traditional sort of break of colours, blue and grey, which does look good. The Ebomb's typically pretty sort of colourful suit. They do sort of like to put a lot of colour in their suits, Rip Curl, especially with the Ebomb, and seems to prove pretty popular. So, sort of running through some of the basic features that are typical to the Ebomb and have been sort of going on for a little while now. The suit itself is made of 100% E3 neoprene and also panels of E3+, which is one of the key differences. But E3 neoprene is basically the most flexible neoprene that Rip Curl can use in a wetsuit without it becoming too flexible and losing its sort of snapped back or sort of memory basically, so that so the suit doesn't blow out in places. Because obviously you have got the E3+ neoprene, and the E3+ neoprene is more stretchy than the E3. But as I said before, because it doesn't have a huge amount of sort of memory, it doesn't snap back, it can blow out in places if you used it the whole way through the suit. So they only use panels of it to make sure the suit is robust and doesn't lose its shape. And so basically the majority of the suit is E3, as I say, very, very flexible, huge amount of stretch in the suit. So I do own one of these for summer. It's fantastic, you know, there's nothing to beat it in terms of sort of flexibility. So it's a great summer wetsuit, and that's why it's also always so popular. So that's the whole way through. You've got minimal amounts of panels, which minimises the amount of seams in the suit. So you can see a whole section there on the front, and around the back here, around the lumbar region, is all one piece of neoprene to minimise seams and sort of maximise flexibility in the suit. Okay. Now, any of the seams that are in the suit are strategically sort of shaped to match the shape of your body, so that it moves with your body and doesn't restrict you. So bent on the arms to make sure, you know, there's no restriction in terms of movement there, and same like even like around the back of the thighs as well. It's all thought about around the side here. Make sure, you know, it doesn't sort of restrict that dynamic movement in your body when you're surfing or windsurfing, whatever you're doing basically. So everything's thought about as you would expect for a suit that's sort of more at the top end of the the wetsuit range from Rip Curl. Some of the more boring stuff, you've got the standard Duraflex knee pads. They're kind of puffed up on the suit to fit the knee nicely, so the knee slots in. Basically, it's a very robust material, so you're not going to have the problem that you used to have years ago where suits worn through on the knees. So Duraflex knee pad. You do get a key pocket on the Ebomb, so for those of you that are still rocking the old non-electric key, then you can put that in there. It's a good little stash pocket for other stuff anyway. Okay. Now, some of the other little touches you get on the Ebomb this year, you've got some of the liquid taping around the sort of edges there, just to make sure that the suit doesn't sort of blow out around the ankles. And I think it's the same around the wrists as well. Yeah, got a bit of rubber there just to sort of retain its shape and its sort of fit around the wrists there. Basically, it's quite important. You get double stitching around the cuffs as well, just to make sure the suit doesn't fall apart. But apart from that, there's no liquid taping in the suit. There's no sort of taping on the inside of the suit, which I'll show you in a second, apart from, again, for key sort of stress areas. Now, each panel of the suit is designed specifically to move with the body, so it's dipped around the chest here and around the back as well. You've got a nice dip here just to give you four-way stretch properties. So it moves this way and it moves sideways as well. And basically that means that you've got a huge amount of flexibility. You're not going to feel like the back of the wetsuit is restricting you at all. So it's a nice little touch. You've got the dip around the lumbar there as well for the same reasons. Okay, so nicely shaped panels of neoprene there. Which brings me on to sort of one of the key differences between the suit of last year. This year you're getting more of that E3 Plus neoprene, and they've changed the sort of panelling of the suit slightly just to really, again, maximise the amount of flex you're getting in the suit. So the E3 Plus is even more flexible than the standard E3. There are some sort of percentages thrown around, but it's all a bit sort of like hit and miss. Basically, it's more flexible, and that you can feel it. You can feel how flexy it is. It's really, really soft and lightweight. So you can see why they couldn't use that the whole way through the suit. Otherwise, it would just bend out of shape. But basically, yep, you get that whole, the new sort of like panelling here as well. You've got one piece basically of neoprene under the arm, which goes through to underarm, no seams, and through the back of the wetsuit, through the lumbar here. And this is all the E3 Plus, and it comes right to the underarm here. So I guess they're figuring that when you're paddling, because the suit is more specific towards sort of like surfing, that kind of thing, because of the sort of background of Rip Curl basically. When you're paddling, you've got a huge amount of movement in the lower back and under your arms, and so if it's restricted under your arms, it's pulling your arms back and wearing out your shoulders a bit more quickly. So basically this one piece under the hole here just gives it an insane amount of movement through the suit. It feels great. So the actual panelling on the suit is one of the key differences between last year and this year, and the amount of the E3 Plus neoprene that you're getting. I think there's a little bit more down on the lower part of the suit as well, just around the knees, just to allow your sort of like knees to lock in and easier to get in and out of the wetsuit. I think it's going to make a huge amount of difference to most of us in terms of sort of like performance inside the suit. But yeah, it's nicer just to have get your feet in easier. So that's basically the E3 Plus neoprene running through. The seams are obviously glued and blind stitched, and what we mean when we say that is basically two pieces of neoprene fitted up together, stitched halfway through and then glued on the other side. As I say before, on the critical areas you do get a bit of that E3 taping, which you get the whole way through on the flash bomb, but on this suit just in key sort of areas. So if I sort of turn it inside out for you, have a little look inside. Standard sort of chest zip entry, which Rip Curl have been using for quite a while now. Diagonal, sort of just to sort of move any water away from, make it harder for water to get into the suit. You've got the dip at the bottom there to collect any water that runs through, and then it's got a little drain hole at the front and the back just to get rid of the excess water that comes inside the chest zip. Smooth skin around the collar to make sure you don't get a rash. Benefit of the chest zip, it's better at keeping out water really. So you get an unbroken seal around the neck, means that it's harder for water to get in. This piece of neoprene, which is the actual part of the wetsuit, is brought up nice and high to stop any water that does come in through the chest zip through the top from actually going into the suit, and as I say, any water that does get in is guided out through the drain holes. If I go sort of inside the wetsuit, just turn it inside out for you to have a little look. Have a little look inside. So basically, yeah, it's all about performance, the Ebomb, always has been, and it's a great wetsuit for people that don't like wearing a wetsuit, basically. So, you know, huge amount of flexibility, a huge amount of movement in the suit, and sort of no compromise by adding things like smooth skin and thermal lining and weighing the suit down. So it's really popular with people that like that sort of suit. So as I turn it inside, yeah, you can probably see the different sort of colours of neoprene inside the suit. Now basically the grey stuff is the standard E3 neoprene, and the black stuff is the E3 Plus. So you can see how much you're getting that in this sheath suit, all under the arms, around the front. You can see it running down there, around the side of the knees, and possibly some other places that I've missed. But generally a lot of the suit. So as I said before, most of the upper body, you don't have too much of that taping, apart from the critical areas, like where you get, like, say, 3 seams or meet together. They just put some of that taping around there. But you do get quite a lot of it in the lower body. So again, where you need perhaps less flexibility, they do tape the suit as well in the lower body, which I think is different from last year. A bit more taping, which just add to the sort of shelf life of the suit, which is a nice touch. So that's pretty much everything going on inside the Rip Curl Ebomb for this year. Always a great suit. Every year they just keep tweaking it just to add a little bit more, trying to make it better for people, but without sort of changing it too much. So because it doesn't really need changing that much, because it's a great suit. So the Rip Curl Ebomb for 2013 it carries on with the previous reputation of the Ebomb wetsuit to being one of the most flexible wetsuits on the market.